morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm your host, Sneha, and this is the second episode of Mindful Tangents. The topic is for today's episode about corporate world or corporate life. I'm not going to lie, I just finished recording the first episode, but I thought this was a separate topic and I would be talking for like an hour long. And let's be honest, we need Sneha in piecemeals, not the full cake, okay? So I just wanted to separate this out. So the corporate world, to give background, I've only had 2 jobs since I've graduated from college. One was at an accounting firm and I worked there for 4.5 years, I want to say. And then from last year onwards, I've been working at another company. Both similar jobs, of course, just different concentrations. So one thing they do not teach you, and I wish they did in college, is just the lingo. Okay. And when I say lingo, as a first year, maybe just in any job, there are terminologies and short forms that are used maybe just uniquely at that company, but there are ones that are used everywhere, like EOD, end of day, and so forth. It's like lingo is like, what the heck are you talking about? Something about pipeline? I'm like, I remember the first time I heard something like the pipeline. I'm like, are we talking about plumbing? Like, I'm not kidding you. I am not kidding you. And I didn't have a computer in front of me either because I love Googling when I have the opportunity. But the word pipeline was during a meeting and I'm just like, what is this lady talking about? I just wish they just brought it up. Like, these are common terminology used. You know what I mean? Just so that when we are in a conversation, we understand what people are trying to say, or an email. Because I'll tell you, the first year working at a job, the main thing is just trying to catch up. Like, catch up to the lingo, what's going on, what is life. You know what I mean? And luckily at the firm that I was working at, they have the expectation for a lot of first years. They know that we don't know much, and I appreciated that. And we're just slowly learning. And then hoping by the second year, they expect you to know everything, which is nice. But the second thing is not what they teach you at college, but you will learn. I mean, okay, so I started at an accounting firm, busy seasons, gotta love that. But the number one thing that annoyed me the most at working at the accounting firm that I did, and it may be the same for a lot of people, is they have no lives. Okay? And it's not busy season I'm talking about here, folks. Like, busy season, I get it. There's a sacrifice has to be made. Ugh. But for some reason, and there were some people, I'm not going to say everyone's like this. Some people are, I would like to call it normal, because we will be out, right? Like, even if it's like promotion day or something, or some other thing where we're going out for dinner, people are talking about work. Okay, it's 9:00 at night. We finished work at like 5:00. Why are we still talking about work? For me, I'm definitely a person that, like, unless it's working time, like we are trying to finish something, I will talk about work. Other than that, do not talk to me about work. Even when I'm outside, like with other friends that are not part of my job or anything, I mean, I don't got friends at work, I'll be honest. I do not like talking about work. Maybe little, but not really, right? Because that mindset is like a serious mindset, and I'm just trying to relax after work is done. But I don't know why people don't do, like, just talk about their lives. I don't know. It sounds weird, but like, I know at my current job right now, everyone's normal, okay? People talk about children. People talk about, what they're doing over the week. I'm like, yes, see, this is normal life. What did you do yesterday? What did you do tomorrow? Like, this is normal people stuff. You work with them 8 hours of the day. Think about it. You're with these people all the time. Why do you want to talk about work all the time? Like, you need a brain relaxer. You know what I'm saying? And in terms of work, I remember, I will tell you, it's not a mistake. I do still believe that when you're young, you should make some sacrifices then to hopefully, God willing, progress in the future. But I do think that there needs to be a work-life balance. A work-life balance is not like 30 minutes of your own time. Work-life balance is that, there's balance in the morning and nighttime, and in the middle, maybe here and there. And what I mean by that is, like, being part of a firm, you just think your life is work, right? And there are times where, unfortunately, with client deadlines and so forth, there will be times you have to work until nighttime. I get that. But work will get done, right? If you need to go out for a walk, you need to do something for family, you go do it, okay? At the end of the day, it's like, I mean, maybe not during like a meeting or something. That's kind of awkward. But like, don't sacrifice your life for work. It doesn't work. It's not worth at the end. You know what all these people do at the end? They're like, okay, on to the next person. And There are teams that will respect you and appreciate you and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, everyone's replaceable. If you think you're not replaceable, you are. It'll maybe take a few more months for them to find somebody, but they'll find somebody. And you have to think in that way, but you should also not be selfish at work, meaning only my priorities. Because I've seen people like that, and they were always, for some reason, like my senior, and they were always like, their stuff comes first. And I'm just like, maybe you should review this before like going on your phone. But hey, am I being a hater? Yes, I am. But yeah, it's just a balance, you know what I mean? Like, don't just make everything about work, right? But also don't forget about the work that's providing for you your food at night, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like unless you're part of a family that has a father or mother or brother or sister or anyone that's in the corporate world, you really won't understand how people talk and like how social interactions are. I had a learning curve, still kind of do, but it's really hard to kind of interact, and like you can't speak how you speak to your friends, of course, right? And people now can hear a voice change in me when I'm on the phone because my voice and how I talk changes instantly. And like I don't joke around like I do when I'm with my friends, of course. But it's just very, very different. Little terminologies and all that stuff are completely different. Like, how you see all those funny TikToks, if you do have a TikTok, of people making fun of like corporate meetings and all that stuff. When I tell you, those are very, very accurate, okay? Like there's one with a boy, and the one with a girl, another girl, like, wow, I'm being very specific here. But if you know, like they're having meetings with their boss or something, that is absolutely true. Especially, okay, have you guys seen those videos where like you're supposed to have like a meeting with your boss or like your advisor or coach or whatever, and they're busy? That's also very true. I've had several coaches, and I'm not saying all, but like usually my leaders are very respectful, but my coaches, they got 500 things and you are not one of those priorities, okay? But those videos you're seeing, anyone in the corporate world can completely understand that is very, very accurate. How they talk is very, very accurate. And thing is, like, for some reason, I think we all adapt to it once we get in, because it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like you want to fit in, right? So what you do is you adapt to what others do. And in that sense, you also adapt to speaking of talking and so forth. And in a lot of these jobs, you'll notice that there are, especially in accounting firms, we have our associates, our senior associates, our managers, our senior manager, etc., so forth, so forth. Once in a while, I always think it's hilarious. Once in a while, you'll always get the associate. And it was funny because when I was a first year, there was like 3 or 4 first years also working with me. And there was one, and I was just like, bro, what are you doing? He brought it upon himself, or I don't think it's brought it upon himself. He himself thought that, usually like the person who's in charge of us is the senior, right? And who's in charge of the senior? The manager. Like that's how the hierarchy works, unfortunately. It's not unfortunately, it's just a structure. What he would do is that he would never go to the senior for any questions, what he needs to do. He would never listen to the senior. You know who he would go to? He would go all the way up to the senior manager, almost being promoted to director. And I'm like, what are you doing? And the thing is, the senior noticed, and I'm pretty sure she probably talked to the manager or whatever, but like he refused to take any instructions from the senior. It was just a weird, weird dynamic. And then there was another associate who, I just don't understand these people, I'll be honest. When you're a first year associate, I'll be honest, in an accounting firm, your main duties are doing small little testing, and then your main duty is ordering lunch. Okay, like ordering lunch, especially during busy season, that's like your main duties, dinner and all that stuff. And it's not like to put you down or anything. Like really, like you do not have as much knowledge to finish certain tasks, right? So then what ends up happening is, like, if you're done with your small tasks, it takes more time for a senior or someone to coach you on those topics than it is just to do it themselves. Now, obviously, there was this one associate, when I tell you, she refused to order lunch. And it's not like, you would assume maybe she's had a lot of experience before this and she's just the first year here. No, just like the rest of us, she was, just started out of college. And she just was like, nope, not ordering lunch. Number one thing I do not like is team players. You know what I mean? The one good thing is because there was four first year associates, is that you can split the task. So it's not like every single day you're ordering lunch. Maybe one day this person will be doing it, one day the other. It's just like, come on, be a team player. And thing is, let's be honest, everyone above us also ordered lunch when it was their time to be a first year. It's not like no one's done it, and doesn't make you any less than. But it's just the things that these small things, and I completely understand. It's like, oh, I'm so worthless if I do like order lunch. It's like, no, it tells you can do things correctly if you can at least minimum order lunch. So back to that other associate. It's funny going back and forth, but that other associate, he was literally fed up with the whole busy season. At one point, the man even said he went bald, and I was like, bro's already going bald. What are you talking about? You going bald even more? Like, no offense, but like, that's pretty offensive. I'm sorry, but like, he was, according to him, he was losing hair because he was so stressed, and totally understand. It's a lot. Busy season can vary from team to team, project to project. I remember for that specific project itself, it was bad. I lived 30 minutes away, but they didn't even want me to go home. Like 30 minutes by driving. They said just stay across in the hotel, which we all did. I think only one person, and which was that first associate I was talking about, because they lived very close by. And literally, they would not allow us to go home. Or they said, like, don't. It's a waste of time. And then we would get to the office 8:30, some people 8 a.m., and finish work at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then we would just walk across the street, go to the hotel, and then again do this every single day for a month. And Saturdays, luckily, thank God, freedom, right? You would wake up and your work starts at 9 or 10 o'clock. And guess when it finishes? At 10 o'clock at night. So then you at least get some break. And then Sundays, thank God. I was like, I gotta go to church, people. And they're like, oh, of course, anything with religious things, they're not gonna like say anything. But I did really have to go to church. And then right after, like, they trusted me at that point. They knew I did work. So they were like, don't worry, Sneha. Luckily for me on Sundays, I got to go straight home. I told them, like, I'll log in immediately, which I obviously did. And whereas everyone else still had to go into the office if they didn't do anything religious. But that was a crazy time. It was just like all the time, work, work, work. Luckily, it was only for a month. But still, the man, that first year associate, said he was going bald. Totally understand what he's talking about, because it's not healthy to like be awake for that long, not getting enough sleep, constantly being stressed. It does not have an effect. The last day of the project, it was crazy. That man was 1000% going to quit. And I knew it because of how he ended the project. So literally he finished something. And this was the day before, I believe, or something like that. He finished his testing and he just started watching a football match. And I'm just like, we're all here stressed. And this man's just like, la da 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 da, right? And I'm just like, what? And then someone saw him watching a game and not doing any work. And they're like, do you not have anything else to do? And then he's like, no, I'm done. And then she's like, then you could have asked me if we had any other work. And he's like, or you can go home. She's like, but I don't have anything, so you can go home. He's like, okay. And then he just left. Just to let you know, as a first year, the number one thing you should be doing is asking if there's anything needed to be helped with if your team is there sitting for such a long time. Now let me skip forward to the last day. So this man, legitimately, the last thing he had to do, he finished his testing. What ended up happening is they stopped giving him as many tests because they started not believing in him to finish items. And then what happened was he finished early, right? So the last thing that they just asked of him, because everyone else was stressed and busy, like all the first years had so like testing to finish and review and get it done. This first year, only thing he had to do, the senior asked, can you order lunch? And he said no. And we were all just like, what? And he's like, no, I'm done with my work. I do not need to order anyone else lunch. And we were all trying. This was a Friday, right? The project was going to be done that day for everyone. And he was the only one that not doing anything. I got so angry. And I was like, fine, we don't need you. We never needed you. It's like, we can order lunch. It's not that difficult to do. Because obviously it's difficult for you. And everyone was so shocked. But I'm just like, no, this man needs to be told what he needs to be told. Like, you know what I mean? I was just amazed that for me personally, if I see my team struggling and I have nothing to do and they'll ask me just to order lunch, I'm just going to order lunch. So I ordered some lunch right then and there, and we all ate. But, I cannot believe it. But that's how the first year experience you're going to deal with. So when I said once in a while, I've already talked about two types of associates. The one that thinks that they're the ish, and the other one that doesn't do anything, and then I guess technically skips over. When I tell you the amount of first year associates, and I don't know, maybe it's both male and females, I've mainly seen it in males, is that like they do not care about the hierarchy and then they just jump. Now, the number one thing is the hierarchy is there for a reason. And second of all, it doesn't matter if you refuse to talk to the senior and then just jump to the manager or director. The senior at the end of the day is reviewing your stuff. So it doesn't make sense you're jumping up and then like you're trying to chit chat and all that stuff and get promoted. And it's just like, it's not going to work. Especially when so many people decide on if you get promoted and your senior is one of them. They're the ones who voice their opinion on whether you're good or not. But hey, what can you do? I guess some people are just like that, you know what I mean? Some people are actual workers and do the work, and then some people are just talkers. You know what I mean? Like in my language, there's a word called soap. What that means is pretty much, when you put soap on your body, you're lathering something. You're lathering that body part, right? So it becomes slippery, right? So when you put soap, this is my translation. This is not official translation, but what I'm assuming. But when you soap somebody, it's like, oh, you're kind of like also buttering, like you're making it smooth and slippery so they can like kind of go with what you say. But some people survive in this world like that, and guess what? That's pretty much the corporate world, right? It's half people, maybe more than half, actually doing their work, and the other people that have no idea what they're doing and then just get promoted. But hey, I guess that's a talent and skill in and of itself. You need a talker too, not just somebody that does the work. But yeah, the corporate world. Do I love it? Yes and no. I'm luckily in a place that I actually personally enjoy. It's not bad and it's not like robots or anything. It's actual people, and you can tell everyone has their experience in work and so forth. I think the only issue I'm going with right now is the same issue about the first years that I previously spoke about. But other than that, I have no problem. And you know what? The best way to avoid these kind of things is just not talking. Oh my God. That is the exact next topic. I was like, what do you mean not talking? So me personally, I do not know how people have work best friends and hang out with people outside of work. I'm sorry. And maybe I'm just like a loner and that's why, but I don't want to see you outside of work. Okay. Like we do not connect. I care about you because we go to work, but like other than that, I do not care. Like, and that's not being mean. That's telling the truth. Okay. It's just like, you can be best friends with somebody, right? I don't think that's impossible, especially with personalities and so forth. Like some people do really well together. Me personally, like I really need to trust you to be your best friend. And I remember like in my old job, I did have a couple people like that, but unfortunately like we lived at that time very, very far apart. So it's not a situation where we could like hang out or anything. But, in almost all my coworkers and all my teams, I never wanted to be best friends with anybody. And it's not just the age gap. We're not ageist here. A lot of people are close to my age. It's just that like talk to you for 8 hours of the day. Okay. 8 hours of the day for 5 days of the 7 days of the week. It's like, no, this is done. I am done. And, I appreciate those that try and invite me to like, oh, let's go here. Let's go grab some food. No, it's okay. I'm good. I'm going home, especially when I got the commute. I'm telling you, my commute to and from work from the past has helped me so much to get out of a lot of team socializing events. So I live pretty far from the city. I will say door to door takes a little bit more than 2 hours to leave from my house door all the way to the door of my office. Do I hate it? Sometimes, yes. Do I love that COVID changed part of that? Yes, amazing. Okay. My job is definitely one of those jobs that you do not need to be in person. Unless the client is like fearing that everyone's not doing their job and they want to see, there are clients like that. They need to see people working. Then they will make us go into the office. But after COVID, I'm telling you, I love sitting at home. It's great going to sleep, waking up right when I'm about to go to work. It's great. And then if you want to, you can go to the bathroom anytime you want to. Or if you want, you can make your own lunch. or do whatever you want. But of course, get the job done. I feel like when I was in the office, it wasn't bad, right? But I learned that I can finish a lot of work a lot faster when I'm at home and not talking to people. Because I feel like when you're in the office, there's a lot more socializing than there is when you're not in the office. And I personally feel that I get my work done faster at home. And then I just have the spare time to do whatever I want to. And then, of course, and this is when I'm telling you spare time, I'm saying like, you ask for stuff to do and there's still nothing to do and you have to wait because there's questions still pending, all that stuff. I love it. I love it. And I also love not waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, okay? Like waking up at 5 o'clock, getting ready, sitting on the train, just wandering, thinking. I'm just surprised, honestly. Like the fact that before COVID, I would go every day, okay? Well, before COVID, actually, I was like on a plane for 6 months, but like usually I was on the train every single day. I do not know how I did it. Okay. And I think a lot of people are on the same boat. Like, how did we travel for so long and commute for so long just to get to work? And it's funny how like a lot of people are trying to go back to office like full time. Like, no, don't do that. You realize the truth. A lot of people just want a building to own for their tax purposes and all that stuff. But come on, you want happy employees? Then do that. That's a better idea, to keep them at home. Current job only requires me to go in twice a week. One is a mandatory day, which all the team members go in. And the other one is just whenever you want to. I actually really like that. Like whether Monday works for you, Tuesday, Wednesday, for us it's Thursday, or Friday, like those work, that's great for your own schedule. And then Thursday is the mandatory day. And honestly, having it like that makes it a lot easier because socializing also with people, you get to see the people you're talking to. You're not seeing them every single day. It like makes a balance. You know what I mean? Remember I was telling you before that I don't like talking or being friends with my social worker. I do not have a social worker. My coworker. This is what I'm talking about. Now you have that balance of just like, okay, I don't need to see you the rest of the week. Thank you, goodbye. And then continue working at home. And then, oh, hello. It's nice seeing everyone. So I do appreciate like this work from home, not commuting as much. Also, the tickets are mad money, okay? I don't know how I was spending that much money at that time for tickets to go to the city. And then also just having a personal life and having more sleep. Sleep is very, very good. And now jumping into the future, it's officially Monday. So the Super Bowl has officially finished. The Kansas City Chiefs won. And I've officially started believing that maybe the NFL, the whole entire everything is scripted, okay? I started hearing a rumor that the games were all scripted. I didn't believe it, but then I started looking at the game and I was like, this looks very suspicious. I was just like, how are you going to tell me every single time? And when I say every single time, this is my interpretation. So don't expect anything very big. And also for those that have never heard of the Super Bowl, in my words, is a sports of football. It's like the finale, the last game. It's the best of the best of that season playing against each other. And it's football meaning American football. So something similar to rugby rather than, football like with your foot. So that's just the premise, a very high level premise of what the Super Bowl is. But it's very well known. I remember yesterday, my parents went to the grocery store and they said literally there was only 3 people at the grocery store. The streets were empty. People's main thing on this specific Sunday in America is to watch the Super Bowl. And back in the day, even in school, I don't know if some of you took marketing class or even in high school, but our main job was to watch the Super Bowl and look at the commercials and pretty much come back to class and be like, what's your favorite Super Bowl? Which one and what emotion was it going to tell you? A lot of the ones at that time were more car companies or, alcoholic beverages such as beer. But now it was funny. Funny to me, meaning like, okay, I get like the Reese's Pieces, I think. Dunkin' had a commercial. But then there was like, what's that store called? Temu? I was like, how much money are they making where they can afford a Super Bowl ad? And usually a lot of these ads, they run for 30 seconds. And within those 30 seconds, People are paying, I want to say people, these companies are paying around $7 million, okay? Depending on what time the advertisement's played, where it's being placed, like some, wherever the announcers are, there's an advertisement, or during the commercial break. And usually they try their best. When I tell you they try their best, this is a time when I feel that companies put their most effort into making an advertisement, because what will happen is, especially with social media, people will talk about it. So then what are they going to do? They're going to just like, it's going to get promoted. So as an example, just one example, right? I mean, I personally like the Dunkin' Donuts ad. I thought it was funny. I believe like Ben Affleck was on there, Jennifer Lopez was on there. Jennifer Lopez, yes. And it's kind of used a husband-wife dynamic in recording a song. I like that personally. But the one that I kept seeing all over my TikTok was that, if anyone saw, there was a DoorDash advertisement, and the DoorDash advertisement was to use a promo code. But the funny portion of the promo code was, it was like DoorDash promo code dash, and then they just continue to show you sentences and sentences worth of like the promo code and what people were doing on TikTok, and they were obviously posting it on social media, on TikTok obviously, that like they're trying to like stop the commercial, and then they're trying to write down everything that they see and put it in as a promo code to see what they win. I don't remember what the winning was, but like just that in and of itself, that got people engaged and people wanting to win the prize. So then they try and like put in their effort, and that's how people get to speak about the specific advertisement during the Super Bowl. But just keep that in mind. These are just advertisements. So every single unique, let's just say unique, let's not say if Dunkin' had two different kinds of commercials. Let's just say for every 30-second commercial you see, that's $7 million. Even if you say $5 million, that is so much money you're getting, right? From just playing commercials. That 30 seconds, that's just insane. But I guess that's just how the advertising world works. Because roughly, I believe that the Super Bowl, they estimate around 100 million. I don't know what for this year it's officially, but think about it. There's just cable or, wherever it's streaming. I think Nickelodeon even was streaming it. That was a little weird. I'll talk about that soon. But they stream on Nickelodeon or wherever, ESPN, I'm not really sure where. I just turned on the channel and there was a Super Bowl playing. And then also a lot of these live streams, which I'm pretty sure is illegal, a lot of the TikTok live streams were playing the Super Bowl also. And if you guys notice, I mean, which is fun, I watch the Troll movie all the time on TikTok using the live stream, because all the time what will happen is they'll play the actual content on the top, and at the bottom will then be playing like a video game or some other content that technically is legal to stream on TikTok. But yeah, it's a mess, man. But yes, then in top of the Super Bowl, as you know, a lot of celebrities come, right? I saw Justin Bieber, Martha Stewart, and then Kelly Clarkson, I think Jimmy Fallon, a bunch of people, right? And obviously the main one that a lot of the girls that I talked about before was Taylor Swift. Now, the thing is, I feel personally they didn't show her a lot, but I noticed that anytime like Travis Kelce was on screen or he did something, then there was Taylor Swift. Also, what was him getting so angry at the coach? At one point, he was just yelling. I was like, oh, damn. I was like, why are we yelling at your own coach of all things? I would be so scared to do that. But maybe it's just in the moment when, there's so much energy and like so much stress. Things happen, I guess. It's the Super Bowl. This is like what they, at the end of the day, practice and live for. At the end of the day, their job is the Super Bowl, to get into the Super Bowl and, of course, win the Super Bowl if you're in the Super Bowl. Anyways, commercials aside, the scripting, I did not know what people were talking about in scripting, and I thought people were going crazy saying like, oh yeah, it's scripted. But how are you going to tell me that? So pretty much what happened was, going back to the actual topic from the beginning, was that they literally, like the whole game, okay, the 49ers were doing well, wow, and then halftime, okay, yeah, you got some points. Then the audience is like, oh my God, it's so close. It's like making that feeling, right? And at the last, and I think it's not last thing. I think people that knew football, from my understanding, knew that they were able to kick the ball, so then they were able to get those 3 points and tie the game. But it was the fact that they kept trying to get a touchdown, from my understanding, that was really confusing me. Of course, what happens at the very last minute? they get a tie because of the kick, and then we go into overtime. And of course, they implement the overtime rules, like according to the people announcers on the TV. They're like, yeah, it's brand new rules that we're going to do for the first time during the Super Bowl, because I guess there was never a time during the other games that it needed. So I was like, interesting. And during the overtime, it's once again the whole like on the edge of your seat scenario, right? To the last second. I think what I remember was there was 3 seconds left, right? Or not 3 seconds left. At the very end was 3 seconds left, but there was only seconds left, right? And they kept trying to run the ball. I was confused. I was like, this kind of seems obvious that the 49ers are going to win. But of course, within these sports, within seconds, things can change, right? At the very last second, 3 seconds left of the game, they had like only like a few yards left. They got a touchdown. I want to say they, meaning the Chiefs. And I was like, what? And keep in mind, like this whole time I was like, oh yeah, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it because, they're just, it literally, how my husband explained it, it was like, he's like, this is not very exciting. And I agree. It's like, it was kind of like they weren't playing for most of the game. And then all of a sudden it's like spurts of like, let me get points. And I know that sounds very insulting and that's not my intention. But from somebody, well, he watches sports, but not football. And then I don't watch sports. It felt like they were never trying in the sense. And then all of a sudden when they do try, which is great. But I don't know if it's because I don't really know. I don't understand. Maybe it's a technique. And obviously that must be it. And I just do not understand football. Obviously, we've already made this a precedent already. But I was very confused. But at least that was fun. And they made the touchdown, of course. Everyone was excited. And I felt so sad for all the time. They always go pan back and forth between like, yay, excitement, confetti. And then the sadness. Oh my gosh. The shots where literally the other team was lost and their faces were so sad and the confetti's just falling on them. It's just like, why would you show that? But yeah, I mean, there's goods and bads, I guess, for every game. And I believe, and I know this is a lot of information, but I was listening to the people talking. I was like, wow, a lot of information here. The quarterback was actually the person that was picked last in, like, when they pick college students. What is his name? Brock Purdy? I kept remembering because I was like, Purdy, like I'm Purdy. Sorry, I'm not mature. But he's so young. He was born in 1999, and he played college football for the Iowa State Cyclones, was selected for the 49ers with the final pick in 2022. So you were the meaning, not saying you're the worst player if you're the final pick, right? But like, meaning you're good enough, but you weren't the first that people were being competitive with. And the fact that someone that got picked in 2022, it's only been 2 years, and he's already the quarterback. He did a lot. I feel like he did so much during the game, and everyone was complimenting him too. So I feel like his career is gonna just blow up from here because he did very, very, very well, which is good for him. He's only 24 years old, and I believe the quarterback for the Chiefs was like 28. I was like, wow, so much young people. So many accomplishments. It's very good, very good. I did not do much in my life. I'm just auditor. But yeah, so then there were those commercials. There was the game and being scripted, and people constantly on TikTok were like, scripted, scripted, scripted. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting persuaded here, people. But they just did not show Taylor as much, and which is a good thing, because I feel like people would just complain. People will complain about the smallest things, but she was just watching the game, supporting her boyfriend, which is great. And I feel like for the Chiefs, I was watching like Taylor Swift. And then for the other team, 49ers, I actually watch on TikTok this family. It's called Natalie, and I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, the Aguilars. And their dad loves the 49ers. The whole family, I believe, does. And they're like, show their support and all that stuff. And they came to Las Vegas, got tickets, and Levi sponsored their tickets, which was really nice. And so then they got to enjoy the Super Bowl, but unfortunately their team lost. So it was fun watching the family's reaction. I mean, not the sadness, but the excitement before the Super Bowl. And something fun, as I was just saying, Levi sponsored their tickets, is that these ticket prices are insane. Another area, insane. I talked about the advertisement itself being so much money. Guess how much the Super Bowl ticket price was? Okay, so allegedly meaning according to a news channel network, the 2024 tickets. So Ticketmaster, which serves as the NFL's official ticket platform, showed the lowest price for tickets Sunday at $8,000. Okay, $8,000. Now think about it. If that's the lowest, that means you're like in some corner where you could barely see the field, and like think about it, that's the lowest. You're paying 8,000. And then last minute tickets to Super Bowl were going as high as $37,000 on ticket resale platforms such as like StubHub on Sunday afternoon. 30,000. I bet there was a lot of people just waiting there and being like, "Oh, you want to resell?" And resellers were asking for up to 45,000. And it's crazy. And I saw one video, not many, but I saw one video where they were asking people like, "How much did you spend?" And it was the 18,000 and so forth price range. And then people were saying like, I saved, there's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And hey, that's fine. I mean, it's crazy, but let's think about it. How much we all spend in accumulation on things that we like as hobbies, or even going out to eat. These things accumulate, right? Even nowadays, to buy a phone, it costs $2,000. So if somebody just chooses to put their money aside, maybe not to get a new phone, or maybe they just got lots of money, that's their choice at the end of the day and what they want to do with their money. But it is a once in a lifetime experience. And if your team wins, that's even better. And then also, some people are just there. And I think that was originally the Natalie and the Aguilars initial thing. They didn't know about the sponsorship. Only the daughter knew. They were just going for the vibes. You know what I mean? They were just trying to get the Las Vegas vibes because a bunch of fans are obviously going to be there, and it's going to be partying after partying. So that's fun and exciting for the Super Bowl. And then, of course, the last thing at the Super Bowl, what do you think I'm going to talk about? Dun, dun, dun. No, there's no surprise. It's the halftime show, and it was by Usher. Now, I'm not laughing at Usher, okay? I liked a lot of his songs. I'll be honest, the halftime show wasn't the best. And when I say the best, I feel halftime shows that are fun and exciting is that ones that like really win. Like I feel like Rihanna's last year was great. And I'm not a person that like, oh, I favor one artist, like that's it. No, I'm very like neutral. Because it's just kind of like I like individual songs, not like the entire artist altogether. But like her halftime show, I felt personally was like, dun, 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 and then like it goes on. And maybe the reason why it's because there was a lot more songs I knew of hers. Now for Usher's, I knew a few, but I didn't know many. And I don't really remember the last time he came out with a hit that, I mean, obviously a hit meaning that everyone knew about, but it was fun and exciting to see guests. Now, the thing was, I was played, okay? Somebody said that there was going to be Justin Bieber. And I was like, Justin Bieber. And I was like, oh, okay, that's possible. That is definitely possible. And then I was like, oh, maybe not. And maybe he's only going to have one guest. Then I saw Alicia Keys. I was like, oh, it's definitely going to happen. And then I was like, okay, Alicia Keys. Then there was I believe it was the lady with the guitar. I was so confused. And thing is, until I saw her name, I was like, oh, I know who that is. But before that time, I was like, who is this lady? And I thought she was just a guitar player. And genuinely, I said out loud, I was like, oh, she's really good at playing the guitar. And then I started noticing, I'm like, is she playing the guitar? Or is this fake? And she was just playing. I was like, no, she got to be really playing. At this point, I don't think she was really playing. And then she started singing. I was like, oh, she's another special guest person. And then it got a little bit hype when will.i.am came on. And then Little John and Ludacris, those are my favorite portions where they're singing. And at that point, I was like, really like, oh, they're definitely going to bring in Justin Bieber. But then I saw TikTok videos of him just sitting on in the stands. And I was like, dang it. I feel like the portions in which the halftime show was like the most exciting were when those famous songs came in. But other than that, it was like subpar. Love Usher, but I felt, and his dancing and all that stuff, the man was working up a sweat. That's a lot of work, I'll say. Like to fully dance and sing and, just change in general, like do costume changes, that's a lot of work. But I feel like in that kind of instance, when you have 10 minutes, it's not like a full-time show. You got to keep these people's attention up, and they judge you for those 10 minutes. And mainly, it's because it's like, how hype is these songs and like this performance in general. But yes, that was the halftime show. And Mom's like, that's it? What's the rest of the song? I'm like, no, this is not like 30-minute song. Most of it's just, they talk about the game. Then they finally show the actual stage where they sing for like 10 minutes. And then they go back to commercials and then talking about the game again. I feel like for the future would be safer. Not safer. That's not the right word. If they combine a bunch of singers, I think that's the vibe. Because there are certain singers that have a lot of performances or a lot of songs that are popular. Like Rihanna, as an example, before. She has a lot of popular songs, and there are a lot of dancing songs too, right? You vibe with those songs, they're not slow. So I feel personally that, like, if it is a singer like Usher, it's good to have multiple artists just like this, but maybe a little bit more, just to keep like the emotions going. And the slow music is no good, okay? I know Usher's known for like those serenading songs, but I feel like at the Super Bowl you want like the dancing songs. Like, if you guys just YouTube the Rihanna video, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a vibe to listen to it. But that's the end of the 2024 Super Bowl. And also, Taylor Swift was not proposed to, like I was told by the internet. But I was not expecting it. Also, like I said in the previous one, I had a feeling that he's going to make the moment about the Super Bowl about him in the Super Bowl, which makes sense. Huge accomplishment. And then, you can propose another time. There's always the 365 days. Oh, wait, minus one, 364 days in the year. But, as we now end the episode for episode 2. I want to thank all of you for joining and listening on second episode and showing your support. I have an Instagram and also a TikTok of different reels of the actual episode. So again, if you want to hear these episodes, you can see it on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, as well as Buzzsprout, and soon, eventually, YouTube, when I start learning how to sync this video with the audio. But thank you so much for joining in on episode 2, and talk to you later. Bye.